So it's just gone midnight here in the UK. Blizzcon day one is done. I've got my coffee. Let's summarise this. Quickly before we start, I want to shout out my Twitch stream where we go live every Sunday, Tuesday and Wednesday from 7:30 to 11 PM UK playing WoW, answering all your Fury Warrior questions. And if you want to further support us, then please do consider giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel and turning on your notifications. Anyway, on with the video. So day one of BlizzCon has finally come to an end and we've got so much information. Granted, there was a lot of leaks over the last couple of days and a lot of that information kind of was known to agree, but there's some intricacies that we didn't know and some bits that we didn't know at all. So I'm going to try and summarize the last couple of hours into as bite-sizable as possible for you. Bear with the editing as well. I want to try and get this out as quickly as possible for your guys' benefit, so it's going to be a bit cheaper on the editing side than I usually do. But let's get straight to it and start off with what we saw during the opening ceremony, and that was the 9.1 cinematic, the Chains of Domination. Incredible in cinematic. I've personally not seen this before. I'm not too sure if it was leaked. I did try and avoid as much leaks as possible, but this cinematic was phenomenal. Again, we always say this, Blizzard needs to make its own kind of animation studio. Granted, it wasn't their kind of high-end animation, which kind of would have been nice if they'd been able to do one of their big ones, but granted, because it's a content patch and not kind of an end game thing, I can understand why it was kind of their more minimal graphics, but still phenomenal. The entirety of this cutscene, I was glued to the screen, utterly glued. Anduin clearly doesn't know what he's doing. There is clearly still a part of him who wishes he was in control. You can see that when he eventually stabs her, you can see that glimmer in his eye where he's like, oh no, I shouldn't have done this, and then flicks back. So part of me is hoping that by the end of that raid, we're actually going to be able to get him back to how he usually is, maybe. I don't know. He's very Arthas-like at the moment. It's kind of cool. Sylvanas clearly regrets her decision. You just kind of saw that little glimmer of regret on her face because she's now starting to see what the jail is really doing. Amazing. Phenomenal. Very, very hyped. After this, we kind of got the TBC Burning Crusade cinematic for this, and this was great to see. It feels like it was more higher quality than it was in the past. I don't know if they've actually recreated it or not. Haven't actually researched that side of things, but it feels like they recreated the initial trailer. That is coming back. That was a given. When he said that he wanted to give us a burning feeling or something in the initial intro, would have been so much better if we hadn't had that spoiled yesterday. But some very exciting things there. We're going to go into them in a little bit later, literally in a minute. It's very exciting to see that you have the choice to go into TBC or stay in Classic. And actually, like I said, I'll go further into this. You can maintain two characters at the same time, both on Classic and on TBC. I never got to do endgame on TBC, the same with Classic. I never actually got to do it at the time. Wasn't good enough at the game. I was quite young. Still loved it though, but I remember playing Outlands in later expansions and finding it amazing. So I'm very excited to kind of go back there, try it again, and it will definitely be something we go back into. I need to have a warrior on every version of the game, right? So we started off with the TBC sit down talk thing. There wasn't much actually information. There was information in this. I'm wrong there. There was definitely information here, but it wasn't your kind of normal standard stand in front of the screen, have a PowerPoint going. It was more of a sit down table chat, which was quite nice. It felt quite personal, especially where this entire BlizzCon has been quite a personal BlizzCon as far as BlizzCon goes. But it kind of started with them just kind of sitting around chatting about their own experience of TBC, how they came about it. They said that they had issues with finding the initial game code. In my head, I thought, why don't you just talk to private server people? They've all got the game code, nab it off them, and then you're good to go. But they started talking about kind of some of the things they wanted to change and some things they wanted to keep the same as far as TBC is concerned. There are things such as spell batching, which has been a massive conversation, a big point of debate in far as the Classic community is concerned. I remember when I was playing Classic about a year ago now, spell batching was the biggest point of content amongst all players, and they did like it, some didn't like it. I mean, basically, if you don't know what it is, you can cast two spells at the exact same time and they go off together. So if two mages polymorph one another, as was shown in the video, they both polymorph at the exact same time. Because of this, it does cause latency issues, and it was something they mentioned that they're going to completely remove and not have it. I can't remember if it was in Classic. Again, Classic was a long time ago, for me at least now, as was Vanilla back in 04. But they said they're not going to have it in there. It causes a lot of latency issues, and it's potentially an issue for when you want to play the game. From here though, the very positive things is they're not going to do all of the nerfs. So some of the nerfs they did on raid bosses and general content aren't actually going to be done. They've realized through Classic that players don't want to burn through content at an alarming rate. They're actually going to keep some of the kind of the pre-nerf bosses up, which means that players are actually going to be challenged again. Granted, it's still going to be as easy it was in Classic for people, and that's only because we have a wealth of knowledge. People know how to go into these fights, but having them at pre-nerf means that players will still be met with a bit of resistance, and that's not what we got in Classic. Classic was very, very, very nerfed, and some things were like easier than they were at any point throughout Classic history through the world of Warcraft kind of thing. Parts of Classic felt like you were playing retail on a 60 120 character, one-shotting everything. That's how Classic felt. So hopefully this lack of nerfing and some of these pre-nerf bosses mean there's going to be a bit of challenge, and maybe it will take more than 3 days for someone to take down one of the raid boss end bosses, but still potentially not. Some nerfs are still going to happen, such as the spell push packs and other things such as that. However, as a whole, some of the health pools, some of the other intricacies as far as raid boss is concerned, sound like they're staying, and it sounds like there will be a smidge of challenge in TBC again, which is amazing. There's also going to be some changes in the PvP system. So they spoke about this. I never played PvP back then. I'm not much of a PvP player, but I can understand the draw to it. I do want to get into it. But there was an issue apparently back in original TBC where you couldn't have a 3v3 group where a player could change out. So for example, if you started a 3v3 bracket, you had to maintain the same 3 players in your group. One of the things I want to change for this is to enable you to have that change. It's 2021 now. People's lives have moved forward, and you can't always commit to 4, 5, 6 days a week in an arena bracket pushing through, and sometimes you need to change that person out, and that's one of the changes they're going to bring to this. This will open up arena for a lot of people, and as a whole make it more accessible for kind of like the casual players like myself. I'm a very casual player. That's really nice. I think that's a really good thing. I might get into TBC Arena now. So next we're going to talk about release schedule for Classic TBC. So Blood Elves and Draenei are going to be coming with pre-patch at some point this year. I don't know when it is. They said 2021. I'm hoping not too far away, but they're going to come with pre-patch, so you can get straight onto leveling those up and getting them into a good position for when TBC actually drops. At the same time, the Classic Era realms are going to appear. So Classic Era realms are going to basically be your progression realm where you can choose whether you want to stay on a Classic server or move to a TBC server. So we'll go into this again in a second about how we get into TBC, but there'll be a base server called a progression server, and from here you have your 2 branches of staying in Classic or moving to TBC. These will come with the release of pre-patch, which I think is amazing. It gives you the opportunity to start off early in the right foot and in the right place. For example, if you need to move your entire guild over to TBC, you can do that, and there's going to be some paid services we'll talk about in a second. But this means you can kind of get the organization of TBC and your guilds and your friends out of the way before content starts dropping at a faster rate. With content release, we're going to be seeing Karazhan and Grul's Lair come first. This helps because it helps people kind of catch up with gear. If you didn't play much of Classic and you kind of have a level 60 like I did, I've got a 60 mage sitting at kind of the base tier best in slot, this will give you a chance to gear up and catch up with your friends. And with the delay in content that they're going to do, it means you can all gear up and catch up together before the rest of the things come. For example, in phase 2 we're going to see Serpent Shrine, Cavern and Tempest Keep, and then in phase 3 we're going to be seeing Hyjal and Black Temple. And this is a good way of doing things by initially having Karazhan and Grul's Lair, Karazhan being one of my favourite things in all of World of Warcraft. The book, it was about the return to Karazhan. I love Karazhan, it's my favourite place of all. But with having them at the start, it means everyone can be ready to go all at the same time for when phase 2 and 3 come out at later on in the kind of content cycle. And this is a really lovely way of doing it. I think by them having the pre-patch of allowing you to choose the server you want to go on, as well as having the Blood Elf and Draenei, and then having this at release, having Karazhan and Grul's Lair at release, it means that you can progress through in a very natural feeling way, rather than feeling like you're being rushed and you're seeing others kind of getting far ahead of you and you're kind of feeling a little bit left behind. This is a nice way of doing things. So next up, we're going to talk about how we get into TBC and how it works. So as I was just saying, the current Classic servers are going to become progression servers. So this is where you can level up your character and then decide whether you want to stay in Classic or move over to TBC. This option will be there for everyone, and it will be free to either stay or move on to TBC with your newly dinged 60 character. From here though, we start getting into the paid services. I know paid services in WoW do have a very negative connotation, but hear me out for these ones. I personally really like the sound of these ideas here. So the first one is a level 58 boost, and I know boosts are bad, but they're doing it in a nice way. You're going to be getting a very base level character, and it doesn't count on Blood Elves or the Draenei. You won't have things such as the professions or that good gear. You're going to get a very base player character kind of thing. I think by the sounds of it, they want it to be more basic than the one you get on retail when you boost one of those characters. I know there will be negative discussions around this, but at the end of the day, a lot of people missed out on Classic, and the experience for leveling in Classic is a very long one. It took me, I think, 4 months, maybe 5 months of doing it on the casual kind of play cycle. So for someone like me who wants to level up a a warrior but doesn't want to sink in the time for it, I'm definitely going to be going for this option. I think it is a good thing to do, and it's nice to have that so that I can still experience TBC without having to go through kind of the agony of leveling up as a warrior, which we all know is vile in Classic. You'll only be able to boost one character per account, so it does kind of even it out and doesn't mean that people are going to be going OP with all their boosts. You're not going to be able to boost 30 characters. You can boost that one character that you really want to have but don't have the time to do. Like I said, that's why I'm going to be using it. Next in the paid services as well, we have the copy character option. Again, I know it's paid, but hear me out. Let me explain it. You're going to be given the option to basically copy your character as a carbon copy and at the same time have them on your Classic account and on your TBC servers. This is big. This is really good. I know it's a paid service, but it's a good option to have. A lot of private servers exist because people want to be able to experience different servers and different expansions at different times. A lot of people who did play on private servers would have an account on a Classic, on a TBC and on a Wrath of the Lich King, and none of those servers ever changed from those expansions. Players want to keep that kind of going, and this paid service, this paid copy, makes that a lot more viable and a lot nicer for players to actually have the option to do. In my head as well, I'm thinking this could be quite nice for raids, because you do get content droughts, especially in these older versions of the game. You could effectively do Monday, Tuesday Classic raiding, and then Wednesday, Thursday TBC raiding. At least you've got content to do every single day, and even if it's on farm, you're getting more for your buck, maybe, as far as like a subscription is concerned. But I do think this is a really good thing. I want to keep my mage on Classic. I really like my Classic mage, but I do want to take him over into TBC, but I want to have both. Here it is. They've done it for you. When they also said this as well, it did sound like they're thinking of other expansions. I know there was those fake leaks of the futures of the servers, and there was one screenshot and it showed there being a Cataclysm Classic server. Don't think that's ever going to happen. It will stop at Wrath. But something that they said on the table made it sound like that this is going to be the plan for future things. They said future patches. In my head, patches means future expansions. I think this is going to be the way they're going to continue through the expansions. Maybe they will do Cataclysm. Maybe they'll go all the way through Legion for the next 15 years. They got double content now for the next 15 years for them, so this could be a massive possibility. Don't quote on me, but that's the gist I got from when they were talking. That's kind of what it sounds like. As always, beta is starting soon, so make sure you flag your account as a beta account. There is a way you do this. You just go into your account settings and you find the participate in beta setting. Do accept this, do go over to there just so you can get yourself into the beta. You might not get it, but you might. A lot of content creators often get it first, but they always do, so. Also, remember, you can't pay for a beta key, and beta keys don't exist, just account activations. So don't fall for any of that, please. But next up, we're going to be talking about the Shadowlands updates. So it started off with Ian looking slightly like a serial killer, with those serial killer kind of eyes, but he actually started off quite positively and did say that fundamentally World of Warcraft in its current iteration in Shadowlands is not broken. It's just a very, very good base foundation for the continuation of expansions in the future and the continuation of patches. I agree with this. I know a lot of people might not agree with me, but the game in its current form is good but not broken. It's not BFA, there's not stupid systems in place. The game is in a very good spot, and where he was quite positively saying we have a lot to build on, that is good. It means that the foundations are there and the foundations are solid. Just build up on top of them and you'll get through an amazing expansion. Shadowlands is brilliant. This is one of the best expansions I've had since Legion, and Legion was big memories for me. I know that was only a few years ago, but still. He also briefly spoke about kind of the intensity of contact they've had with the community, which is really good. I think this is part and parcel due to COVID. They've had more time to be able to sit down and talk to the community, but this time around they seem to really be listening to people, and we've seen that through the changes they're making in 9.0.5 and some of the things that are coming in 9.1. This is a very positive move for Blizzard. They've had a couple of really bad years, and them being this engaged with the community as they currently are is very positive. So the new patch is called Chains of Domination, and it sounds like things are really heating up in the Shadowlands everywhere. From the get-go, it sounds like the jailer's getting more powerful. We've seen the cutscene. We can see what he's becoming. You can see Sylvanas looking a little bit guilty. We've now got Anduin, he's now Arthas, maybe. We're seeing bad stuff happening. We kind of feel like things are building up to a big event, and the Maw is getting more and more dangerous. The really positive thing here to come out of this, it sounds like all four covenants are going to be banding together and entering the Maw to take on the jailer kind of once and for all. They all see that Anduin's just killed someone, the Maul's getting more powerful, everyone knows the Jailer's getting more powerful, and all the Covenants are finally getting together, jumping into the Maul and exploring some new zones and new places and a new raid to take him on and effectively halt the damage that he could do. He's got a master plan, we don't know what it is, but it involves ruining World of Warcraft as a whole. So we're going to go save the day. And we're going to start saving the day by having mounts usable in the Maul again. Who cares about the raid? I can use a mount in the Maul. I might actually go back to it for the first time this patch. Although this is great, I feel really bad for those people who farmed Torghast on those horrid Torghast levels for hours on end. It took some people 5, 6, 7, 8 hours to do just to get a Maul mount. We can now use them. Give it 2-3 months. We're going to be jumping onto mounts in the Maul like it's nobody's business. We're taking back the Maul. Our mounts are hearing our call again. We're no longer going to get that bloody error message. So the new zone is called Korthia, and it's kind of the amalgamation, it sounds like, of all of the offcasts from Oribos, and all the weird creatures in the weird society that live in Oribos are over there, and they seem to be minions of the Jailer. I'm not very big on lore, I'm not very good at lore, but that's the gist of what I got, and that's basically where the final raid for 9.1 is going to be, and that's where all 4 Covenants are going to get together and take over and take down the Jailer. We're also going to be getting some new, more themed mounts. We're going to be getting a undead horse, which looks phenomenal, and a weird giant hand thing. Looks really weird, but pretty cool. New mounts as well. Who doesn't love new mounts? There's a lot of mounts coming in this patch, and the fact that we can use it in there is amazing. So the final raid that we're going to be doing is going to be called the Sanctum of Domination, and it's a 10 raid boss. Again, another big raid boss. You often see the second kind of raid of expansions, I'm thinking mainly back to Legion, they were always smaller, but this one is a big one. 10 more bosses to go for is another really big bit of content for us to kind of sink our teeth into. And in here you're going to be fighting bosses such as Taragri, the one who's taken me down 1,000,000 times in Torghast because I'm really bad as a warrior in there. The Eye of the Jailer, Fate of the Damned, Kel'Thuzad, and you'll finally be taking on Sylvanas. Now, are we going to kill her? I don't know. I don't think we will kill her. I think she'll surrender halfway through the fight, but we'll see. But it sounds like from what they were saying, the future of the Shadowlands is going to be changed from this. What could this mean for that final cinematic? Does Sylvanas die? Does Sylvanas realise that the Jailer's been using her, and does she join us in the fight for a future raid? I don't want to get too much into kind of fake hype, but put a comment down below kind of what you think it could be. Along with this, we're going to be getting some simple Torghast updates from new floors, new powers, new foes, and kind of new armor sets and art from that. Looks pretty awesome. Torghast, I hate Torghast, so I haven't got a big opinion on this. Next, we're going to be getting the return of the Mecha Dungeon, the Mega Dungeon, the big dungeons, an 8 boss dungeon. I love these. The last one that we had was Operation Mechagon. Before that was Return to Karazhan. As I said, Karazhan is my favourite place of all time, and I'm very excited to be getting another mega dungeon. This one is called Broca, and it sounds like it's a weird offset cult cartel group kind of thing, but from the gist of it, it sounds like we're going to be fighting foes in the home city of Broca, and then halfway through there's a heist that's going to happen and we're going to have to chase it. If that's as good as it sounds, there could be a chasing fight. I'm thinking back to the Deathwing fight where we're flying on his back. That's the kind of vibes I'm getting from this. I don't want to hype myself up too much about that, but it sounds amazing. But we're going to be taking a fight over here to this mecha dungeon, and it's going to obviously be a mythic only at first, and it's possibly not going to be put on the raid finder, and you're not going to have that split. From the get-go, this sounds like an amazing thing. I'm excited for this. You should be excited for this. Mega dungeons are amazing and are such a fun form of content. You get amazing exclusive rewards from these dungeons. There's also going to be some Covenant updates, and they have been saying about adding new conduits, expanding the soulbind systems, and allowing even more customization. Now, this sounds brilliant to me because it's going to enable potentially more theory crafting. Currently, things are still very cookie cutter. They always have been and they always will be. But this will at least allow a period of time where there might be multiple builds of your soulbinds available to you. And having that sounds pretty fun to me. It makes you wonder what kind of new soulbinds they're thinking. Are you going to be able to get kind of new companions and new people with you? We'll see, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on out on the upcoming patches on the PTR. And then finally, one of the biggest biggies is flying. The return of flying. It's happening. They've kept to their words. They are bringing flying back in 9.1, and it's not held behind a rep grind like it was in BFA and in Legion. This is good. I know a lot of people are against this, but as a casual player myself, I haven't been able to fly now since Legion because I just haven't had the time to do the rep grind. I don't have the time to do it. It is now being locked to your Covenant storyline. So obviously with the release of the new raid and with the whole release of the Chains of Damnation, your Covenant campaign is going to be extended, and your renown is definitely going to be extended here. Flying is just going to be locked in with that, and that is phenomenal. And with that becomes Covenant specific mounts, and these look gorgeous. This then adds another layer of kind of Covenant pride to yourselves. You can rep your Covenant in the sky, and also you're going to be getting a whole load new of cosmetics, and there's some really cool ones out there. They're really different to what we've ever seen before. They kind of feel very roleplay like and kind of cool. I really like the Venthyr one. I'm Venthyr. It's different. It's not as aggressive as kind of the previous ones are. I really like them. They kind of make you feel like you're part of the Covenant itself, and you could, if you kind of are into role playing in World of Warcraft, you could literally like pretend that you're there, because the outfits are very, very fitting. I think it's pretty cool. The art team have done amazing, as they always do. And then also along with this, as always, there's also going to be weapon upgrades and new weapon skins to come with them. And the final one is going to be Season 2 is going to start. There is going to be a new affix. I think it's called Damnation. I think that's what I kind of got from the gist of the slides. We've got no information on it as of yet, but hopefully in the coming days we'll get some more. The deep dive didn't happen today. Kind of confused by that. Not too sure why. But hopefully in the coming weeks, as the kind of some of the big places such as Wowhead and Icy Veins and all those bigger places kind of get the information, we'll see what the new affix is. Along with this, we're going to get the general item level increase. So the item level that other things drop is going to be increased, and the overall max item level is going to be increased as well. This might mean that legendaries can now go to a higher rank than before. I think they will. I'm not too sure. That's me kind of speculating a little bit, but it feels like you'll be able to get a higher item level legendary now with the entire increase in item level coming. And with this as well comes a new PvP season with an honor talent refresh and an entire new seasonal reward. So you've got your new mythic mount that you get with your seasonal reward, your new gladiator stuff, your new PvP gear, your new valor points that are coming in 9.1 as well, along with kind of some cosmetic weapons that you can get. All round amazing stuff. So that has been our roundup video. Hopefully I've crushed this down. It's currently on a 27-minute recording, but hopefully it's not going to be this long when I upload it. But that is a wrap up of basically what's happened on day one for Classic and for Shadowlands. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, please do leave a comment down below. If you've made it this far, congratulations. Let you in a little secret. Doing a giveaway in a couple of days. There's a link in the description. If you've come this far, make sure you enter it, because you would have seen it, because I would have told you. As always, we also stream, so please do come out to one of our streams sometime. We stream both on YouTube and on Twitch at the minute. We're kind of doing little double whammy of the two. And also don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. It helps me grow. And these news videos, this is the start of something new. We're going to be continuing these as the weeks come. We're going to do possibly a weekly roundup of the news, or a bi-weekly roundup. I'll see how it goes, but let me know if you've enjoyed this down below. Other than that, see you in the next video. Bye bye.